whether such foreign intervention is undertaken unilaterally by the United States or jointly by several countries under the banner of NATO, or even in the name of the entire world with authorization from the UN, the attempt to bring peace and order in the present era will invariably fail to achieve all that is hoped for it. The fundamental reason for this continuing failure is that such peace and order can be established on a permanent basis only in a world in which classical liberal ideas once more predominate. But let me suggest that merely trying to go back to that golden age of classical liberalism before 1914 is no longer enough. In the 21st century, a more radical classical liberal ideal is needed. What then is to be done, as I was first suggesting, what is to be done in the face of evil in other lands, if not the state or international organizations and associations? Well, for the advocate of freedom, the answer is the depolitization, the privatization of foreign intervention. In our private life, we have many friends, neighbors, and family members whom we care about and desire to help. We desire to help them in getting through times of trouble and hardship, and we want to help them in trying to find better principles to guide their lives, so many of the problems that have been caused by their past choices do not happen again. Sometimes these tasks are more than we ourselves can try to solve. So we form voluntary associations, organizations, and clubs to pool our efforts with those who share the same desire to help and see value in the same peaceful methods for attaining those ends. Others go it alone in their endeavors to assist their fellow men. And still others form different associations because, though they may believe in ends similar to our own, they think there are better means to achieve it than the ones we've tried to try. And others in the society choose not to participate at all in these types of tasks because they place a higher value on other things in terms of an expenditure of their time, money, and efforts. No one is compelled to care or to help, nor is anyone forced to accept one way of doing things as the only method. Such voluntary associations and institutions are among the essential foundations of civil society. They are the free society's private solutions to what are now called social problems. The depolitization and privatization of foreign intervention means an approach analogous to the private institutions of voluntary association for the handling of domestic social problems. Those who see distress and hardship among peoples in other lands, who desire to assist them, should not be restricted in forming associations and charities to pool their resources to supply such help. But neither should others who do not share that same concern or who consider there to be other answers to solve these foreign problems be compelled to assist if they choose not to. If oppression reigns in a foreign land, if a peaceful people in another country are threatened or aggressed against by another state, any citizen in a free society should have the liberty to volunteer his help. This can include financial contributions or personal service. He can offer to fight alongside the freedom fighters resisting their own government's tyranny, or he can offer his services in the military of that foreign country to help repel the aggressor nation. He can choose to do so for free or for pay. He can form associations and societies to pool his own resources with those of others to buy military equipment, medical supplies, or emergency food and clothing. He can try to persuade others in his own country to see the rightness in the cause and join him in fighting the good fight to win freedom for others in those other lands. But what would be inconsistent for any person's crusade in the cause of freedom in other countries would be to abrogate the freedom of his own fellow citizens in the pursuit of that cause. It is easy to say that all that is asked for is a small violation of the liberty of fellow citizens in the good cause of the freedom of so many others. But is this any different from the appeal often heard that it is only a small violation of people's liberty that is being asked for? To feed the hungry, to house the homeless, to assist the poor, to help the handicapped, to once the principle of liberty is breached, no matter how deserving the cause may sound, all other abridgments soon become matters of pragmatic judgment. Well, it seemed reasonable and meritorious to abridge other people's liberties for this cause, then surely to extend that abridgment just a little longer or a little more for this other cause cannot be objected to, can it? If we sacrificed some people's liberty to intervene in country X for a good cause, then surely to do it again or more forcefully for the noble endeavor of helping those other unfortunate people in country Y cannot be objected to, can it? Where does it stop? On whose judgment shall it be dependent in making the decision to do it or not? The fundamental duty of the state is the protection of life, liberty, and property of the citizenry within its own territorial jurisdiction. If the state goes beyond this, it can only do so by taking the wealth, income, and resources of some to improve the circumstances of others. That is, by means of coercive meddling. Either we have the protection of equal individual rights for all before the law, or we have unequal privileges for some at the expense of others. This is the choice concerning the role of the state, whether in domestic or foreign affairs. There is no third alternative. So how shall we bring this change in direction in America? There are no quick fixes. Just as there are no quick fixes in changing the attitudes and beliefs of people in Iraq, there are no more quick fixes to change the thinking and attitudes among our fellow Americans. Which gets me back to Leonard Read and the principled methods available for Friends of Freedom to try to change the world. Leonard Read founded FEE at a time when there were very few advocates of liberty, 1946. And he viewed the advocates of liberty to be a remnant among a very small group among an ocean of fellow citizens and millions more around the world. If the world was to be changed, Read said, the change begins by changing people's beliefs and attitudes. And if we are to change people's beliefs and attitudes, we must first make them think in different ways, to understand in different ways, to value in different ways. And if we are to change other people, Read asked, over whom does each of us have the most direct influence? And Leonard Read replied that each of us has the most direct influence over that person we are closest to, ourselves. The task of changing the world, including changing America, therefore, is a process of what Read called self-improvement and self-education. Each of us must take upon it, on our shoulders, on our responsibility, to become as informed and as knowledgeable and as articulate as we can about the principles and the applications and the meaning of freedom, both in domestic and foreign affairs, as we can, and the dangers of the opposite of those ideals and applications of liberty. And if we do so, we will over time be able to attract others to see the worth of what we have to say. Now, maybe some of you who are a little older in the room may have attended a FEE seminar. I know I did in June of 1974, and I don't know if he's sitting here, but Lou Rockwell attended the same FEE seminar in June of 1974 as I did. Now, I don't really know what Lou remembers of that seminar, but I remember one lecture, and it was a lecture delivered by Leonard Read. In the classroom at FEE, where students are still taught every summer, Leonard Read that summer had the lights turned out in the room.